The Los Angeles Lakers have been absolutely terrible to start the season, and I'm going to point out a reason that no one seems to be talking about. Everybody only seems to be talking about their shooting, which is very bad, and Russell Westbrook, who has been very bad and has been bad for a little bit now. But I'm going to talk about Antony Davis because Antony Davis has been very bad. For someone who's supposed to be the second best player on this basketball team, he has been nowhere close, and he's been probably, in my opinion, the cause for them to struggle as much as they've struggled, more than the shooting and more than Russell Westbrook. Anthony Davis is someone that can dominate in the paint because he's 7 foot tall and he's at his best. He can be an MVP caliber player. And I think the Lakers need to trade him now before it's too late and before he loses value because he constantly gets hurt. And as I'm starting to record this video, he is listed as questionable for tomorrow's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Against the Golden State Warriors, Anthony Davis had a whopping minus 21 plus minus. Against the Clippers, he was plus 5, Trailblazers plus 3. Then again, against the Nuggets, he was minus 22 for overall plus minus of when he's on the floor at minus 35. Now, the two games which he did good, I'll give him credit. He played a lot better those games. He shot, against the Blazers, he shot poor, but still managed to be positive. And plus minus is something I like to look at a lot. I know a lot of people don't, but the most important thing in basketball is winning games, and how well your team does when you're on the floor is the most important thing towards winning games. If you look at the Nuggets box score, the big thing I see, I watched this game up till about the fourth quarter last night, and the big thing I see is that in 36 minutes of Anthony Davis and 12 minutes of Damian Jones, those are mainly your two centers. The Lakers ended up losing by 11 when Anthony Davis, in the 36 minutes he was on the floor, they were minus 22, and in the 11 minutes, or the 12 minutes Damian Jones was on the floor, he was plus 11, and that is the exact difference of the score of plus 11, of Lakers losing by 11. Things I see, that is Anthony Davis played 36 minutes, he's minus 22. LeBron plays 35 minutes, and he's only minus 7. So what is happening in the brief time period where these two aren't on the floor together, because they mostly play together, where Anthony Davis cannot handle the team. Anthony Davis shot better than LeBron last night. Just LeBron does everything else so much better than AD, to where they just don't do as well when Anthony Davis is on the floor, and that's their problem. Watching him play defense, his effort is just very poor. Jokic they were giving credit to Anthony Davis on the game, broadcast last night, because he was playing decent defense when he played, but a lot of times just his lack of hustle is what was what able to give the Nuggets really good looks, and they weren't really hitting shots. They could have blown out the Lakers a lot earlier than the third quarter. The game was tied at halftime when it had no business being tied at halftime. His effort, it just seems to be the biggest factor, biggest issue for him when you watch him play, and he's been bad for so long now that it's just his injury history has been an issue for so long now that it's time to move on. You won your championship with him with the Lakers. I'd look to get rid of him now before everybody else catches on and blames him more than Russell Westbrook, who's been kind of just taking all the blame when he's been at least giving effort, which it seems to be the issue of Anthony Davis. Not that this is any bit relevant, but I was playing 2K in my league, and I traded Anthony Davis for Zach LaVine, and this Lakers team was able to win a championship with Russell Westbrook in a 2K simulation. Now, there's a lot of other pieces that go involved with that, but I think trading Anthony Davis is the best option. Now, AD makes a lot of money as he deserves, so he is, again, a good player in the league. I'm not bashing him for that. I just think he's the issue with this Lakers team. So trading him is going to be quite the challenge contractually, but I think a lot of teams in this league would trade for him, as he's a skilled big. If you put around the right roster around him, the same way we say about the Lakers and around LeBron with shooters, I think he can be a good player. I think he could lead a team to the playoffs. I look at a team maybe like the Mavericks, that instead of Christian Wood, they could find a way to pair AD uh, with Luka Doncic. Something like that would be very intriguing for them, and Mark Cuban, who's known to make big moves to try to acquire Anthony Davis. I don't know what the Lakers would necessarily get back from the Mavericks, but I just think Anthony Davis has a lot of value in that you got to trade him. And if you just dump Russell Westbrook to, let's say, the Jazz and get nothing in return and just have him off the roster, you're going to have the same issues, because it's still really the same team and they need shooters. And Anthony Davis at least gets you some good return and players that maybe you can flip at the deadline afterwards. If, let's say, you get Christian Wood or some other pieces from the Mavericks, just one example, like or maybe even Yusuf Nurkic from the Blazers and Anthony Davis alongside Dame Lillard, that would be another interesting combination of players. Just something like that where you move AD and it just opens the doors more. Moving Russell Westbrook really kind of still keeps your doors locked. It just gets him off the roster because whoever you trade him to either has to take up a bunch of salary or you have to obtain another contract that is pretty much undesirable and it'll be hard to move. Potential Dinwiddie, Reggie Bullock, and Christian Wood trade would be something that I think both these teams could benefit from and potentially explore, as it would work contractually. And another point on Antony Davis just this season, if you look at his numbers, he's been decent. His field goal percents aren't terrible, but then you got to remember he is 7 feet tall. His three-point shooting is pretty bad, and his overall jump shooting is also really bad. This is a guy that should be shooting like 80% from the floor, just under the basket, catching lobs and dunking, and occasionally if he shoots threes, you let him do it, but he's the type of guy that just needs to come in and dominate with his size because he is one of the most gifted players in basketball. The growth spurt that he had has made him a really good player. You see him here taking fadeaways. It's a great shot, and it's amazingly skilled that you can hit that shot at your size. But just roll to the basket and put, pick and rolls, dunks. Those are where you're going to be most efficient and most beneficial for your team. I saw a graph on Instagram. Unfortunately, I forgot to save it, and I could not find it. I spent like a half hour looking for it. It showed highlighted 4 Lakers players being, I believe it was Lonnie Walker, LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and Antony Davis, showing their player efficiencies compared to the rest of the league. All 4 of these guys were below league average, and this is only on jump shooting efficiencies. And Antony Davis was rated as the most inefficient jump shooter. LeBron was slightly below average. Lonnie Walker was fairly below average. Russell Westbrook was towards the bottom. And then Antony Davis was at the bottom by a significant margin. I really wish I was able to find it again and pull it up for you guys because I thought it was interesting, and that was what led to me towards making this video. I'm kind of disappointed that I couldn't find it, but it just shows you that he's taking way too many jump shots. Again, he's 7 feet tall. He's dominant in the paint, and he's just taking shots as you see here. Youth Nurkic just turns away and lets him take the corner three, taking threes and missing them. It's just a waste of a possession when he's easily able to get 2 points just like that by being dominant, by being the bigger guy, by being the more talented player, because he is. He can dunk, he can roll the rim, and he's got to just take a handful of threes every now and then that just makes the defense stay honest, and then it opens up those backdoor cuts, those pick and rolls, getting to the basket, the dunks, the stuff that is, he's not missing dunks. He's that talented. He's very rarely going to miss a dunk. He can run in transition and get easier dunks and stuff like that. He's a decent passer. He's got a really good skill set, and I just think he's using it wrong. And I think if he isn't able to change, the Lakers got to look into trading him. I would trade him before I trade Russell Westbrook, but I think the Lakers can figure this out if you get him to play the right way. I just think they got to emphasize more on Antony Davis as the issue. I know he's got health issues, as he does all the time. He's got back issues right now, but if you focus more on him instead of Russell Westbrook, they'll be able to figure this thing out. He's a super talented player. He's one of the guys that got me into basketball, and it hurts to watch him not be as good although I don't care for him as much as I did in New Orleans, just because of that whole situation. But he's still a guy you'd like to see do well because of those types of things, and I think people aren't highlighting him as much as they should. But if he gets it right, this Lakers team can really go places. I still believe in him, but Antony Davis is the issue, not Russell Westbrook as of right now.